welcome to you all. It's Pauline and Joey again, and we're up to Toots number
13. Toots number 13. That's incredible.
Lucky 13. Lucky 13. It's lucky that we're going to start putting your sashing on, Joey.
It is.
In the last episode, we put the spacer strip in, which was cut 2.5 inches. You cut the sashing, which was cut 4 inches. You put it through the 2-inch sasher tool.
That's right, I did.
Then you cut a piece of wadding 1 7/8, and you laid it inside. Pressed it. Now we're ready to start putting it on. So you'll need your Roxanne glue.
I have it.
Trusty glue. Now what I want you to do is put little dots of glue right on that stitching line on one side only.
On one side only.
Just little
Just
dots.
Like that?
A little bit more.
Bit more than that?
Yep, that's it.
How far apart?
Yep, that's good. That's about 3/4 of an inch. It doesn't matter really because the glue, once we put the sashing on, the glue will spread out. That's it. And like if you were working at home and you had your big ironing board alongside you, I'd be doing this on the ironing board. Okay?
Okay, there we are.
So now what we're going to do is with this sashing, so we've got the folded edge is going to face down. I want you to put this folded edge right onto that stitching line. Now you can notice that the glue's poking out there a bit. Now we're going to iron that, but we can't iron on top of our cutting mat. So we'll just pull this across a little bit and let this drape down over the side.
We can iron on that one?
Yep. So I want you to put the side of the iron, because it's important that we keep the edge of this sashing on the stitching line. Okay, then we'll just press.
I'm just going to watch your fingers there.
Okay, I'll just hop out of the road. But it's important, you want to set the glue really well because you don't want this to move as you start to stitch. And I find if we were using pins here, instead of gluing it, as we start to stitch, the pins will let it distort too much. So that's why I love to use the glue. I always say it's much better to use the glue than pins doing this.
I think the glue's fabulous.
It is. And you can see how we used it for our applique. We used it to put the bias down. Now we're using it for the sashings.
This quilt is just...
It's looking good.
Well, it's full of Roxanne.
Yeah, but the Roxanne glue, the fusible in the wadding that we used and the Roxanne glue, as soon as you finish this quilt and you wash it for the first time, all the fusible out of the wadding washes out and all the glue washes out. So that's very, very good. Excellent. So now we'll turn it around so that you can work from that side. Same process.
So right on the stitching line
Right on the
again.
stitching line. Do you want to pull it down a bit further? That's it. And go right on the edge. Go right to the very end.
That was a big blob.
That's a blob. Let me hold this back for you. I can be your assistant.
Oh, tables have turned.
So look at that perfect point. Yoo-hoo!
Past the perfect point.
Now remember, we're now moving on to monthly lessons.
That's
because
right.
There's a lot of preparation work that I'm going to explain preparation work to you today, and I know we've done some of that, but I want everybody out there to see what we've done because you've got a lot of stitching to do between now and next lesson.
I need the time.
Now, if you do that just like that, you're going to cut that point off.
So I need to sort of...
So you're going to pull this out and you're going to pick the iron up and you're going to press your point as the very first thing to do.
Watch your finger.
So I'm pulling on the block, which at home you'd be using your hands and pulling that out. That's it.
Look at that Roxanne glue doing its thing, not sticking to the
So now
iron.
you're right onto the point, which is perfect. Now go back and do the rest. And it's really important. This is all part of the great preparation. Getting it right at this stage, the stitching is very, very easy. So I would never suggest rushing this step.
Just take your time and get it right.
Exactly. That's wonderful. Okay, so there it is, ready for stitching. So now you'll do the other 2 blocks exactly the same, but they'll be opposite. You'll have a basket here and here.
Yes,
applique
that
here
makes
and
sense.
here.
I like things that balance.
Oh, good, good. So now for your homework and for everybody else's homework, I want you to put the mono poly thread on the top of the machine and the bobbin. Now, if you don't know how to put this on your bobbin, watch our YouTube channel and look at the playlist and find the title, How to Use the Mono Poly Thread on Your Sewing Machine. Watch how I put that on.
And there are so many other great videos on that YouTube channel. Anything you need to know about quilting,
Is there.
it's all there.
Yeah. So we'll put this on the top of the bobbin. We will put the open toe foot on again so that we can watch the edge. So now if you were sewing this down here, what I want you to do is, can you just hold that foot for me, please? Hold my foot. So what I want you to do is put that inside edge of that foot, this part here, right up as close as you can get it to the sashing. Then I want you to move your needle position over so the needle's right on the edge of your sashing. So the foot's on this outside edge, your needle's on this inside edge.
So we're just going to catch the very edge of that.
Exactly. And using this thread, you don't, because what colour thread would you use to stitch this on?
It's hard to say.
It's hard to know. Like you could use this cream thread that you've used for your applique, but I think it would spoil the look of it.
And it would really show.
Yeah, so I think it's best to have the invisible thread in. But remember, we're not using monofilament, we're using monopoly, because monofilament, if you put a hot iron on it, will melt.
It's a little bit like monopoly.
Yes.
Do not pass go. Go straight to jail.
It's like, a lot of people call this monopoly thread, but it's hyphenated. So now that's what we'll do down both sides. Then you'll do the other two blocks, and we've got the other two blocks ready, glued down, and stitched. So now what we're going to do, we're going to skip forward a little bit, because we've got a little bit of preparation work done here to be able to make it easy for everybody. To join these two rows together, we need to cut another one of our spacer strips. Okay, remember that's cut 2.5 inches wide. This time it's going to be cut this length, 2.5
It's still
by the length.
2.5 inches wide.
Yes. So now I've had you already do this, so she's been doing a little bit of homework, everybody. So here is the spacer strip sewn onto the other set of blocks. We have the, oops, we need to turn this around the right way because we want opposites together. So we've sewn that on with a 1/4 inch seam. Before we join this to this, you will need to stitch these.
Yes.
Okay. But I want to show everybody, because this is going to be your homework, joining all this together. What I want to show everybody here is how we make sure these sashings run through straight.
And this is
very important. So what we do is use your ruler. We're going to put this up here. Can I just have the dark leaded pencil, please? So what we're going to do is run this ruler down on your sashing. So it's all level. We're going to put a little mark.
Okay, so do you want me to do the other one?
Yep.
So we're trying to make, I can see with the logic in this, this has got good logic about it.
So you need to go to the edge. Okay. And this is all about what I've been talking about. Prepare everything properly the first time, no problems joining it together. Should measure 2 inches. Does it measure 2 inches? It does. So now what you'll do is with these ones, you're going to line the edge of this with that drawn line. And this applies to any sashings that you're joining on any quilt. So we're going to join them like so. You'll pop your pins in. So they're connecting exactly where they should be. Okay.
And then I will do the same as I did before.
And then once you get all that done and stitched, you're going to put your big long sashing, which we've got made here. You'll put that over the top of the seam, stitch that on.
The same way as the other one.
Look how beautiful this is looking.
It's just so
It's
stunning.
just looking stunning, isn't it? So once that's stitched, you can see this is going to come over.
See,
and
that's striking.
isn't
That's,
it?
I love that.
Gorgeous,
the dark,
gorgeous,
darker
gorgeous. So when this is put together, it's going to set on point like that.
colour.
So
Yeah.
see how that would be the top,
So
the bottom.
but we're going to need something to make it.
That's right, and that's what I'm going to show you now. How to cut out a big square, then cut that square in half. So now we'll have 2 triangles from each square. So we're going to have to cut 2 big squares. So it's going to then finish this off as a nice square quilt.
So there'll actually be, we'll have to have 2 big squares cut into triangles so that we
exactly
have 4
right.
triangles.
That's exactly right. But when we cut the triangles out, and there's a lot of maths involved, but I'm not going to explain maths in this lesson because it gets very confusing. But, you know, down the track we're going to start to explain to people when we're cutting a square out and then turning it into 2 triangles or into 4 triangles, what's the maths involved. But it's too complicated at this stage.
We'll triangulate that later.
That's good. But if you want to make this quilt bigger, you could now keep making more blocks. You could repeat these blocks over and over and make a gorgeous queen-size quilt.
Could do indeed.
But I think starting with something small like this is a great way to get you introduced to patchwork.
And I think too that if you do something smaller as a beginning project, it gives you something that's achievable, that you're not going to give up on before you get there.
Yeah, and I think, you know, as I keep saying, doing your quilts Quilt As You Go, you made that block, you quilted that block. You made this block, you quilted it. So it's the same. It just makes it so much nicer. Okay, so let's pack this up because that's your homework. Are you right with that?
I am. I have to stitch right on the edge of this to make sure everything matches once I've done that before I stitch this one on here.
Joining your reference lines.
Yes, making sure it matches there. And then obviously the same thing will happen here with gluing it and pressing it and then stitching it.
Yep, perfect. So let's pack this away. And let's move on to the next little. Yep, you can fold that. Look at the back. Looks gorgeous.
It's lovely.
Look at that. It's just really lovely.
I love that fabric with the sheen on it.
Nice, nice. Okay.
Pop this over here.
So you've got a month to get that homework done.
I think I can do that in a month.
Good, good. So let's put this up. Now, what I've worked out with the size of this, as I said, I'll go over measurements and that later on down the track, but we're going to cut a square approximately 24 inches.
That's fairly large.
It's very large.
That's probably the largest thing we'll work on.
It's larger than what we need because we've got to allow, we're going to quilt it. We're going to do some simple but effective quilting on it. So we have to allow for the quilting to pull it in and then allow for trimming it back before we join it onto the quilt. So what we've got here, I've had you prepare your fabric. Now, this is not what we're using in the quilt because I've had you do all that preparation work. Okay, this is just to show everybody. What have you done here?
So I ironed the fabric firstly, then I matched the selvage. And like we did, I think, was that lesson 2, I think, holding it and bringing it into alignment so that it falls properly and
exactly right,
so that the grain is properly lined up.
Yes.
Then I ironed a crease.
Yes.
In, and then I have folded it.
That's
exactly,
right.
and pinned because if we pin it, we can throw it
around
and it still stays all together.
So now this is where I'd get you to use your big long ruler. We want 24 inches, which is the ruler length.
Oh, it's the complete length of the ruler.
Yeah. So I would say now grab your dark lead marking pencil and just put a little mark here.
Just a little one.
Yep. Then you can pick up your short ruler and cut across there. That's as simple as it is to cut a piece.
And the good
You'll
thing,
need the ruler up further.
But the good thing is you can line up these lines on the ruler.
Exactly.
So that you're getting that proper right angle there.
And you know it's going to be a very straight cut. Because if the fabric's folded right first, and that's all about getting it draping properly on the fold. Okay. Well done. Okay, so you can pop that piece away. We can take the pins out of here and open it right out. And we've still got a width of fabric. So we'll get our big square out, 2 big squares out of this, which will give us our 4 triangles. So this fabric's folded. Okay. So now what you're going to do is fold it back this way. This is our centre crease line. Okay. We've got the selvages out to the edge.
Everything's matching.
Now you can bring this back down and line all of that up. Just need to line this up here a bit better. Here's your crease line. We're going to cut through there, right on the crease. So I line the edge, the lines on your ruler up on one of the edges. See this line here needs to come up to the fold.
We are on the fold.
Yep.
Always double check. Check twice.
Yeah, check twice. Be a carpenter. Check twice. Cut once. Right.
Look how used to that I'm getting.
Pretty good. So now we've got 2 squares. Okay, so there they are. So now what we're going to do is fold this, and the fabric's a little bit wider than what the 24 inches is, so that's okay. We're just going to fold it on the diagonal. Right, and then pop that back down on our pressing mat, and we'll press a crease line across there. So, you know, you might like to do this on your big ironing board with your big iron. That's good, and that's very important. It's great the way you're pressing that, because this is the bias. So if you were ironing it, you'd be stretching
Yes,
this.
you get a big stretch in there.
That's right.
So all the things you learn about, learning about the bias, and when you're on the grain, the fabric doesn't have the stretch, and when you're on the bias, it does. And you've got to be so
it's
careful.
very important.
And of course, bias is useful.
Yep. So now see this little bit here? What we're going to do is pick this up. We're going to fold on the diagonal.
Fold again, I'm guessing.
Fold again. Get all that right. Then you can put that down and cut up there.
Oh, and then you've got your perfect square.
Yep.
So we need the cutting again.
So just make sure it's all lined up properly. And don't be afraid to do things like this. It's just finding an easy way. And I'm going to cut it out a little bit bigger just in case the fold is not quite right, because remember, this is much bigger than what we needed. So we've got a room to allow to trim off things at the end. You're right on the edge of the board.
Yes,
there,
it's
I
hard
think
there.
that's why it's...
Oh, and the fabric's probably a bit thicker too. Holding the ruler up off the board a little bit.
Okay, that sounds good. Get all that? No. So let's just go through again.
What did I do?
Oh, well, I just think, as you're right in saying it, it's just a bit thicker.
Because there's a lot of fabric here.
But like a lot of times I just come back and just free cut here, because it's not an accurate cut that we're after. We're just wanting to trim that little bit off.
Because once we've put the pieces together and done all the quilting, that we'll square it off.
That's right.
Or triangle it off.
So now what we're going to do, we've still got our 2 triangles here. It's still the square folded. So I just now get your scissors and...
Oh, we'll get the scissors. They're over here.
And just run the scissors up through there. Just hold it tight and just run the scissors.
Run the scissors?
Run it.
Like you do when you're cutting?
Yeah, will they run for you?
They're not running for me, I don't... I might need you to demonstrate that for me, Pauline.
Right, let's do that. Just grab... Oh, I've got to grab hold of the 2 pieces, hold them tight, and run.
Oh, look at that.
There you go. because remember, we're not after accuracy here at this point. We've got enough fabric to allow for that. So there we have our 2 triangles. So you do the same with the other square. Then what you'll do is lay these out on your ironing surface.
On
I'm
the
going to shift
much
this
bigger
board
ironing
out of
surface.
the way. This would be, you would do the same for the backing fabric. We're just going, for the purpose of demonstrating here, we're using the same fabric,
on front
those
and
two.
back, yeah.
But you would be using the same as what you've got on the back, and then the fabric that you're going to use on the front, okay? Then you're going to do exactly the same with the wadding. Cut 2 squares of your wadding the same size, cut them on the diagonal, lay this down, then put your top fabric on top, and then with your hot dry iron you are going to press those 3 layers together. Okay, and once again, take your time doing this, make sure it all adheres nicely. But once again, you might want to use your big iron to do this, but the little iron works just as well.
This is quite a big piece to do. And
Yeah,
it's
so
the
it
biggest thing
takes
we've
time.
worked on, isn't it?
It is. And you're going to have to quilt all this 4 times. So that's why we're giving you a month to get your homework done, because you've got to join those blocks, stitch your sashing down and get all of this quilted. But we're going to make the quilting very simple for you.
I wonder if anybody else out there is doing the homework.
I would love to have people let us know that they're going to make this quilt, because, you know, by watching all the videos over and over again, all the measurements are in there for you. Just listen to the measurements that we give. We've showed you how to fold the fabric, how to use the templates to cut out your pieces, how to do all of this.
All of it. And I think that if anybody is following along and actually doing it, if they pop a photo up for us,
Wouldn't that be great?
I'll give them some gold stars.
You know, and they may even get something at the end if we see people. You know, we might give them a little gift.
Ooh.
Not that I'm saying you're getting a gift. We'll just have to wait and see what we do at the end. I've got some prizes.
I don't even get chocolates anymore. What's going on?
No. We've got to go on a diet.
No,
We've been on the road. We've been eating out. We've had a couple of glasses of wine some nights.
Every now and again, a little bit of red. It's been going down rather nicely.
And then, you know, every now and again we do buy a block of chocolate.
Don't give away.
Don't tell everybody.
What's that?
You're not supposed to know that, Mr. Cameraman.
It's not so good having your husband in on these conversations.
So there we go. There's one of our triangles. So you can see the wadding's all stuck there beautifully. Everything's just wonderful. So this would be your top fabric. Then you'd have your fabric on the back. So now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a grid.
Okay, a grid.
A 1-inch grid.
Okay.
So with this fabric, because it's light fabric, I'd suggest you'd use the dark lead in the bowhand pencil. We'll need our big long ruler.
So this is an occasion where you would use the big ruler.
Yes, because we've got big lines to draw.
And that's why we have different sizes of rulers in our collection, because you do need the big ones sometimes.
And remember, they're non-slip. So put the rough side down onto your fabric. Now, I don't want to start marking your grid from the edge, because notice we've still got the selvage. And remember, I said this is cut bigger than what we need, because we don't know how much it's going to pull in, and everybody's machines pulls in differently depending how strong their feed dogs are. So we have to allow for that. So I'm going to come in 1.5 inches from the edge. Okay, so we've got 1.5 inches. Now, we don't want to press too heavy with this, because you don't want to have to wash horrible marks out at the end. So I suggest you just mark as dark as you need to be able to see that line. So from that point on, we're going to go inch grid. Okay. So just get used to drawing a few of those. So if you draw 3 lines for me.
I'm always so particular trying to make sure I match everything up.
It's wonderful to be particular, because, you know, if you're particular in the preparation, as I keep saying, the end result will be perfect for you. Because there's nothing worse than getting this all quilted and then it'd be all crooked.
That's right, because I've got a little bit of that OCD going on where I like things to line up.
It works. And also, you don't, you know, if you marked really, really hard here, you'd have to spend an awful lot of time washing this quilt.
And if you make a mistake, a bit of too much rubbing out.
So you would fill up that whole piece.
Well, I've done about 5 lines now. So.
I know. She listens well, doesn't she? I said to draw 3 and she's done 5.
That'll be 6, I think.
So what you'll do now is come back the other way. So you'd fill up all this way.
So we're going to come 1.5 inches in on this side as well.
Exactly.
So the first one will be 1.5 inches on the edge, but we want this to be at a nice right angle with this as well.
Yes, we
too.
do.
So I'm just going to make sure that that lines up.
Yes, that's very good. And then you'll just fill up lines all the way across there. So we're just doing a very basic grid here, just to make quilting simple for you. And then your homework is going to be what?
More homework.
More homework.
Well, I need to do the sashings, get them attached and join those pieces together. And then
right.
What am I going to be quilting this as well?
You've got to
no
quilt
wonder
4 of those.
No wonder I need a month.
You do. So that will be the preparation. And then when we come back to the next lesson, I'm going to be showing you what else we can do to enhance.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So we'll have this nice grid on here, but we're going to do something else.
We're going to do some other things on top of this.
Okay.
Then we'll be teaching you how to square these up and join them onto your quilt.
We're going to triangle them up, surely.
Yeah, we are. Well, squaring the right angle.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that.
So that's I think it's pretty easy, straightforward for you. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of stitching. So when we stitch this, you can choose what threads you use. You probably want to use the same creams that you've been using.
I think so, because they really look so nice on that quilt.
But you'll be using your open toe foot. You will be putting your stitch lengths to about 3 because we're quilting through bulk. So you'll quilt all one way and then come back the other way.
Should I be taking notes?
No, I think you'll remember it. I think you'll remember it. But anyway, that's what the preparation work is for Joey, and I hope everybody out there would be up to this stage and do your preparation work too and share some photos with us.
Oh, we'd love to see if anybody's following along. I know that a lot of people are watching, but I'm not sure how many people are actually following along and doing a quilt themselves.
Well, it'd be great. But anyway, join us in a month's time and we'll show you Joey taking the next
homework.
Step. Okay. Happy stitching till we see you again. Bye. Okay, is that right?
That's right.
Got me now?
Now sing a song.
On the road again.
In the studio again.
Doing toots again.
Fooling around again.
Toot, toot.